Yemen's Houthi militia has been making headlines recently for its provocative actions. Sometimes they're trying to shoot missiles at Israel. At other times, they are attacking ships out in the Red Sea. Analysts believe that the Houthis are not only aiming at gaining popularity across the Middle East, riding on the Israel-Hamas war, but they're also keen on building regional clout. If they manage to do that, it could strengthen their power at home. In a significant escalation just this past week, the Iran-backed Houthi militia successfully hit a Norwegian tanker with a cruise missile. This marked one of their first successful strikes following weeks of threats, although no casualties were reported in this ship strike. The Houthis have also attempted missile as well as drone attacks on southern Israel, all of which were fortunately thwarted. Adding to their audacious moves, they recently also hijacked a commercial ship out on the Red Sea. The Middle East, which is still simmering from the ongoing war in Gaza, has seen a surge in anti-Israel sentiments. In some cases, the anger is extending to many America-backed puppet governments in the region. Amidst this backdrop, the Houthis have been hailed as one of the few regional forces who are willing to challenge Israel with more than just words. The Houthi militia, once considered a scrappy tribal group, gained control over much of northern Yemen since their storming of the capital Sana'a back in 2014. Over time, they have not just increased their military capabilities, but they've also effectively fought against a Saudi-led coalition in a civil war that has spanned several years now. Now, with the most intense part of the fighting in Yemen winding down, the Houthi armed group is assuming the role of a de facto government. Their recent attacks are being framed as a campaign which is in solidarity with the 2 million Palestinians who are living under Israel's bombardment of Gaza. This, of course, has been triggered by the October 7th terror attacks by Hamas. This campaign by the Houthis has transformed them from a local and regional force into one that has a global impact. Now, an interesting twist to their actions is the timing, particularly as the Houthis are on the brink of a potential ceasefire deal with Saudi Arabia. This peace deal could recognize the Houthi control over northern Yemen, and the war in Gaza provides them a massive opportunity to gain legitimacy in the wider Arab world. At the end of the day, what the Houthis really want is a bigger stake in Yemen, and perhaps they also want to do that by becoming a global problem. That is one of the analyses as to why the Houthis are trying to do what they're doing. The confusion between Yemenis and Houthis in the region is also working to the advantage of the Houthi groups. In their statements announcing the attacks, the Houthis refer to themselves as Yemen's armed forces. They completely disregard the presence of internationally recognized government in Aden, as well as other armed groups that are operating in the southern part of Yemen. A senior Houthi member, Muhammad Ali al-Houthi, issued a warning on social media this past week regarding the risks of traveling in the Red Sea. He's also urged ships not to go to occupied ports in Palestine and to be ready to respond to orders from the Yemeni Navy. Experts have also expressed concerns that people might start believing that they cannot trust state actors in the Arab world anymore, and instead they have to increasingly turn towards non-state actors like the Houthis, who perhaps are their only hope against what they perceive to be Western hegemony, best exemplified by Israel and supported by America. Support for the Palestinian cause and hostility towards Israel have always been pillars of the Houthi narrative. Their slogan, "Death to America, death to Israel," underlines their position. They also paint themselves in opposition to America-backed Arab leaders who they view merely as mercenaries for the West. Arab governments, which were once engaged in wars with Israel and also at the forefront of oil embargoes, they have responded to the war in Gaza with public condemnation, aid campaigns, and diplomatic efforts for a ceasefire. However, all of those actions taken by the Arab countries reinforce a sense of impotence among some citizens who would rather prefer more decisive military-grade action. In a news briefing just this past week, an Israeli government spokesman described the Houthis as Iranian proxies with the self-awareness of cartoon villains. He emphasized that the Houthi attacks pose a clear threat not just to Israel, but also to international peace and security. Iran sees the Houthis as the most suitable proxies to widen the war with Israel. Analysts close to the Iranian government suggest that the Houthi base in Yemen is strategically located in a way that they can escalate the fighting in the region. It would pressurize Israel to end the war with Hamas in Gaza. The assessment also aligns with a purported plan by Iran and its network of militias to increase attacks on Israeli and American targets in the region. The analysts also argue that the Houthis are Iran's chosen proxies because from Yemen, they are close enough to the Red Sea's strategic waterways in a way to try and disrupt global shipping. But at the same time, they are distant enough from Israel, which makes retaliatory strikes difficult. Unlike Hezbollah, which is the Iran-backed militant group that has been operating from southern Lebanon and attacking northern Israel, the Houthis are not constrained by domestic political pressures. That makes them effectively accountable to nobody. Using military force against Israel also serves the Houthis by diverting attention from their domestic challenges. As Yemen's civil war enters a new phase now, the armed group is facing pressure from the local population who are demanding basic public services and also the long-delayed payments to civil servant salaries. While not the sole reason for their attacks, it also provides a convenient way out from these domestic dilemmas. The Houthi militia, backed by Iran, gains influence by targeting Israel and also disrupting global shipping lines in the Red Sea. Their actions resonate with anti-Israel sentiments in the wider Middle East. They present an opportunity for legitimacy amidst potential peace talks with Saudi Arabia. The Houthi narrative emphasizes solidarity with the Palestinians on the one side and opposition to perceived Western-backed Arab leaders. As they escalate these attacks on the Red Sea and out on land, concerns also rise about the erosion of trust in state actors in the Arab world and what potential impact this could have on regional stability.